Clyde Campbell, who's the manager of the ham radio outlet in Sacramento. And he's going to talk about a whole bunch of different radios. So I've arranged with Clyde that I put together a little PowerPoint presentation of the radios I think he's going to talk about. So I'm going to take a second here and start that up. Okay, so give me a moment.
Yeah, well, he's starting that up. A little bit about me. I'm a Bay Area native, by the way, and I escaped in 1976 and moved to Sacramento. And since then, I've been around the country a bit and came back here about 10 years ago. But anyway, I started in broadcasting, and then I was in public safety for quite a while, and I became. Yeah, my wife is signaling me through the window that you can't see. But anyway, I'm a relatively new ham. I only became a ham in 2009 after a long career in public safety. I won't tell you the first year I got a commercial license. But it was back when you had to go to the FCC and pay with a money order because they didn't take credit cards or cash. So you had to go to Battery Street in San Francisco and walk downstairs and go to the post office. Oh, there we go.
Okay. So we're there.
All right.
What public service can I ask? What side of
I work for the California Office of Emergency Services. I was the deputy chief of the telecommunications division.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, great. All good information. Okay. Well, so there we go. That's the first slide. And
right.
Do you want me to just hit the next one?
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, here we go.
So when we first started this, Dave asked me to talk a little bit about radios, and radios come in a couple of flavors. They come in regular analog FM, and we're talking about UHF and VHF right now, and they come in digital, and we'll get to that in a minute. The popular radios outside of the Baofeng, which we don't sell, but I happen to have one in the shack. I won as a gift at our Christmas party last year. On purpose, I took it, so let somebody else have the better prizes. There's a lot of radios. What you're looking at now is an entry-level radio. It's the FT4X from Yaesu. It's right now currently on sale at the end of the month for $80, basically. It's a good radio. It's dual band, UHF, VHF, has DTMF, all the nice features. It's a very serviceable little rig and not a bad buy. Next slide. And then you go up a little bit in price, and you get the FT65, which is very similar to the 4. It's just a little bit bigger form factor. And if you have bigger hands, this is probably a better starter radio. And the next slide. This is a long time. Yaesu has made this radio for years. It's the FT60. It's extremely popular with a lot of Aries groups and others, and it's just a workhorse, and it performs well. This is the VX6, another long time radio manufactured by Yaesu. It's a tri-bander. That means it has the 2-meter ham band, the 220 ham band, and also 440. So it's all analog again, but it's submersible, as you can see on the screen there. It's a great workhorse. It's a really super radio. We sell a lot of those. That and the VX60 are probably our 2 biggest sellers from Yaesu. Next, please. And then here's an Alinco, which is another Japanese manufacturer, a dual band radio, and you can see the screen there. And it's got the 440 on the top and the VHF 2-meter ham band on the bottom. Okay. And that brings us to digital. The problem with digital is there are 3 flavors. There's Yaesu System Fusion, which is a C4 FM thing. There's D-Star from ICOM and Kenwood, and also DMR, and we'll get to that in a minute. You're looking at the entry-level handheld from Yaesu, the FT70D. It's great radio, sounds pretty good, pretty rugged, does analog AM and FM as well as digital C4 FM fusion. All right, next slide. This is the top of the line Yaesu radio. It's the FT5. It is digital. It does analog as well. It's a color screen, and it's also touch screen. The unique thing about this particular handheld, it's the only one that we sell that has a touch screen face. And it looks pretty simple, but it's very complex menus when you play around with it later on. Let's go to the next one, please. And the next form of digital is D-Star. That was invented by Japanese hams. In commercially, it's available from ICOM and Kenwood. We're looking at the ID50, which is ICOM's entry-level D-Star radio. It's a great radio. The one thing about D-Star, all their radios have a built-in repeater menu in there. It'll scan where you are and tell you what repeaters are available in your area. Next, please. Oops, we got a next slide.
Yeah, hang on a second. Why is it not going?
Yeah, the ID52 price is incorrect on there. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the ID52 slide. It's a little more than that. It's also color. But we'll fix that. Prices are always subject to change and subject to Handheld sales as well. Now we're getting into DMR, which is the ham version of the P25 public safety digital.
Clyde, I messed up here a little bit.
Yeah, that's all right.
Did we hit the Kenwood THD75?
Not yet. That's next.
That's on the bottom of that, and I don't have.
Yeah. We're looking at the
I have a picture in
ID52,
there.
which is the top of the line ICOM handheld. It's again got a color screen. It is not touchscreen. And that price is incorrect. It's a bit more than that, but sometimes they're on sale. All right, next one. And I don't know that we have a picture of the THD75.
That was my mistake.
Yeah, that's okay. That just came out. That's a brand new radio. I mean, really brand new. We just got the radios in hand like last month. It's $750. It's probably the most expensive. It is the most expensive handheld we sell, but it is tri-band. It is 2 meter, the 220 band, as well as 440, the 70 centimeter band. It also has the repeater information in the radio. Then we come to DMR, which is the public safety P.25 implementation in ham radio. The Alinco makes one. We're looking at several models here. If you're familiar with APRS, that's the automatic positioning reporting system, which sends your location. Radio has a GPS in it. Yaesu makes the 5 that has that. And so they have this version for $289. And the next slide is a similar radio, but it has no GPS, which means it doesn't do D-Star. Let's see, we're going forward. Alinco. Yep. Then there's the Anytone, which is the next one. This is basically, Anytone radios are pretty much commercial grade that have been adapted to ham radio service. This has APRS, all the bells and whistles, a color screen. It's pretty nice little radio. We sell a lot of those for DMR. That's probably the most popular DMR radio we have. So there we go. I like that one. The thing about the digital is that there's 3 types of digital encoding schemes in ham radio, none of which unfortunately are compatible. So if you're considering getting into digital, you should ask your club what kind of repeaters are in your area and purchase accordingly. C4FM is pretty big here in the Sacramento Valley. There is a D-Star, a couple of D-Star repeaters. I know the owner of those in the Valley as well. I'm not D-Star, but DMR. D-Star, there's 2 repeaters here in town. The Sheriff's Sharp ham unit uses them and not many other people. So the East Coast D-Star is quite big. So like I said, just look around, ask your club. Maybe digital isn't popular at all. And it just comes as a feature in your radio. Whether you want APRS, it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing mountaintops, that you want to be, people to know where you are, it's a good thing. And also the way to select a ham radio is, what are you interested in? Are you interested in doing support for events like marathon runs or bicycle races? The club I belong to supports the Western States 100, which is a bunch of crazies that run 100 miles over the Sierras every year at a high rate of speed. 14 hours is I think the fastest time to do 100 miles.
Clyde, would this be a decent time to ask if there are any questions for the
Sure.
handhelds?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody have a question, about the handhelds? Just unmute yourself and
Yeah.
try.
I have a question.
Okay,
Sure.
Debbie?
Can you talk a little bit about being able to use headphones, particularly Bluetooth headphones? We do public safety at events, and you absolutely have to have headphones. But I
Right.
swear my Yaesu is going to drive me insane.
Depends on what Yaesu you have. The FT5 is capable of Bluetooth. All of the high-end radios are capable of Bluetooth, and if they'll work with your cell phone, a Bluetooth headset that works with your cell phone that you can make outbound calls is probably compatible with your radio. Otherwise, wired headset works pretty well too. I mean, I have hearing aids and they're Bluetooth compatible, and I've been able to use them with my FT5. So
Great.
Thanks.
Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, Mr. Kirby, could you talk a little bit about whip antennas? And looking through, I see people trashing the antenna that comes with some of these handhelds and saying you need to get a longer one. And some of them say the SWR is terrible. How do you pick a good whip antenna for these handhelds?
well, the answer to that is the rubber duck is, as they call them, is a compromise. They're rugged. You can bend them a little bit, and they're, granted, they're not going to work as well as anything else. There are other aftermarket antennas, rubber duckies on the market. I happen to have some of my handhelds here in the shack. Pick a quality manufacturer. My advice to you is don't buy anything for ham radio off Amazon. Just because there's a lot of counterfeit stuff that they sell Amazon doesn't promote selling counterfeit items, but somebody that's a vendor, third-party vendor through them will probably sell you something. Excuse me. Antennas to look at are Diamond and Comet, both good quality manufacturers. They have warranties. If your antenna breaks, we'll replace it within a year. So there's that. People chase VSWR or SWR all the time because it's the one thing that hams can measure easily. How well the antenna works with your radio is more important. Where are you? What are you doing? Are repeaters close by? Those are all things to consider for an aftermarket antenna. I've replaced all my rubber ducks with aftermarket antennas. I'm using both Diamond and Comet on the radios that I have here.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Kirby. Any other questions at the moment? Okay. Well, let's press forward with mobiles, okay?
Yeah. Again, mobiles come in the same flavors as handhelds. Hey, amazing, right? You can get analog, which are the least expensive, and you can get ones in the 3 digital flavors. Right now, we're looking at what's on the screen is a Linco DR735, which is a pretty nice radio. It's a dual bander. It's capable of crossband repeating, which means that you can receive on UHF, for example, and transmit again on VHF. That's used a lot in support of events like races, like the Western states I mentioned, and other things, and in emergency conditions that you might be someplace that you can't hit the main repeater, but you can hit your radio. The Highway Patrol does that with their handhelds. They have little walkie-talkies that talk to their cars, and the cars talk to the base station. So that's basically what crossbanding is. This is a pretty nice radio. We just got this in. You see the color screen. For example, it happens to be on VHF, but if you transmit on the main right channel, the screen turns red for a transmit light, and then it's green when you receive. So that's a basic. It's a pretty nice radio. We're selling those now. We just got them in. We like them. They have a nice big screen. They're it's real visible, not touchscreen. The next radio is the ICOM IC2730, which is basically almost the same thing as a 735, but not quite as large a screen. Again, it's capable of crossband receive and repeat. It has 2 separate receivers in it, and it has You can listen on both channels on the same speaker, although it does have auxiliary jacks in the back. So if you want 2 speakers, I happen to have one of those in my boat just for fun. And I have 2 speakers in there so I can monitor both sides. I use one side on the weather channel, or I happen to listen to CDF dispatch in the area quite often just to see what's going on. So that's a nice rig too. One caution about this particular radio, and I don't know why ICOM did it, but they don't sell it with any mounting accessories.
Right.
All the other radios they do. This one doesn't come with a mounting bracket. It doesn't come with a way to connect the radio to the body. All that stuff's extra. It's just the way they chose to market that. So just a word of caution. So next, please. This is the FTM 6000. Again, it's a dual band. It only has a single receiver. It will monitor both sides, but there's only one receiver at a time. You can scan. It does UHF, VHF. Good basic radio, a workhorse. We sell a lot of those, especially at, it's actually $249 now, but we haven't fixed that. They increased the price on us while we were doing the slide presentation, but it's a nice solid radio. One thing I'll mention about the Yaesu product versus everybody else's, they all come with a 3-year warranty when you buy it right out of the box. And there's another competitor that tries to sell you an additional warranty on the Yaesu products. I'm not going to mention her name, but they try to upgrade you when you don't need it. All the other guys have 1 year. So that's something else to think about when you're purchasing. And next. And now we're back to digital again. Again, the 3 flavors are C4 FM Fusion, which we're looking at the FTM 200, which is an entry-level radio. It has APRS, which is the reporting system. It's it has 1 receiver in it. But it is dual band. It'll do UHF, VHF, a removable control head. This comes complete with all the brackets. They're just not in the picture, but it's a nice little radio. It's not bad. And we sell quite a few of those. Is the FTM 300, which is kind of the black sheep of the Yaesu family now, but it's a good radio. I run that one in my personal vehicle. It is dual receiver, crossband capable. It has APRS in it, so I monitor my local repeater here, and the second channel is broadcasting my beacon so the guys can see it when I'm on my way to work. And they straighten up and fly right now. That's actually, yeah, we do track, and it's just kind of fun to see where people are going. Some of our people went to Quartz Fest this last winter, and they had APRS on. So there's a website you can monitor that and see where people are going if you know their call sign. It's kind of neat. And then there's the flagship FTM 500 of Yaesu's line. This one has a totally detachable control head. It also has speakers in the control head, which is the first for them. There's a 6-watt audio amplifier in the head. Down here, there are 2 speakers at the bottom. You see the little kind of slots. There's also a 3-watt audio amplifier in the body of the radio, and there's a speaker, and you can kind of see the perforations there behind the microphone, which is the other one. You can mount the radio separately. You can put it under your seat. You can put it all together, or use it as a base station, which is what they do now with mobiles. This one, Yaesu finally caught on to, let's have 1 control cable and make the microphone plug into the head. All their other previous radios, you had to have 2 separate cables if you did a remote mount on your head. The FTM 300 is the same way. You have to have a mic extension and a control head extension. So they finally got smart and did it with this radio. This radio is touchscreen. None of the others we've talked about so far have touchscreen controls. It's actually a lot like the FT5. In fact, it's exactly the same little control screen in the front. So you can touch it, or you can, press the knobs and all that stuff. One thing I might add is that we have all of these radios we're talking about on display in our store. So if you're undecided, come on up. We're open, on Saturdays too, and during the week. And we'll be happy to let you play with them and walk you through how they work and help you make a decision. Now we get into D-Star. ICOM is D-Star and Alinco as well. This is the ID5100 dual band receiver. This will cross band repeat. Got a nice big screen. It is monochrome, but you know, that doesn't really matter to a lot of people. So, you know, if you don't care, it's fine. And it does come with the brackets. So, you know, like I said, I don't know why they did it with that thing. APRS does require GPS to be in your radio, and all of the radios that do APRS do have GPS in them. Next, please. And then there's an Alinco, good radio, kind of a public safety radio done over to ham. This is their 500. It's a dual band VHF UHF. Next one, please. And
Whoops.
this is the 520, which is a tri-band. It's basically the same thing as a 500. It just has the additional 220 megahertz band. And Alinco offers a lot of software free on their website for the radios. This is the Anytone, which is really a public safety radio that's been repurposed for ham radio. Color screen. A lot of these radios have real small screens. That's not a personal preference of mine, but it's, you know, whatever fits your budget and what you like. So Anytones, they provide software that the radio that is a public safety type 90 radio can be repurposed for ham use very easily. It's just a matter of downloading the software and putting it in. And then there's the 578, the next one, which is the same radio, which is tri-band. It has 220 in it. So,
Oops.
and there's a hamster. It must be a Kia Soul.
He's installing his radio in his Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
So, are there any questions about the mobile radios that Clyde could take for you? Anybody at this point?
Yeah, I have a question. This is John, N6QX. Kenwood discontinued the TMV710 a while ago. Do you have any insight as to when Kenwood will have some mobile-based radios?
No, absolutely not. There is some rumor around that they're talking, their USA rep is asking questions about what people would like to see in a new mobile. There's a rumor that late 2025 there might be something. You know, that Dayton is coming up in May, and that's when manufacturers tend to make announcements. So, I mean, Ken was rather slow coming out with the D75, which was a replacement for the 74 handheld. And so we really don't know. They're not getting out of the ham radio business, but, you know, they've been, you know, with COVID and all that stuff, by far and away, they sell a lot of public safety, you know, land mobile stuff, and that's their main crux of business. So I think we'll see something from them, but we just don't have a date. And it would be just sheer guesswork on my part to tell you that one's in the pipeline.
Any other questions for Clyde at this point? Okay, let's go on.
And Dave said, since some of you became generals, and congratulations to you all, by the way, for becoming hams or upgrading and all that stuff. That's terrific. We're glad to see that. So he asked me to talk a little about HF radios. This is an all-time great seller, originally designed in 2015. It's the ICOM 7300. So I don't know what's going on here. I'm sitting in my shack, so, you know, things go off here. It's a pretty terrific HF radio. We sell lots of them. There's lots of YouTube videos out there. Everybody and their uncle seems to own one. Great radio. We sell a lot of them. They're $10.99 is just the store price. They're offering $100 rebate. And they've been doing that forever. It's a mail-in rebate and it takes you a while, but you know, it's a good rig. It's a good solid rig, easy to use. All that software-defined radio, SDR. You'll hear that, you know, term kicked around a whole lot, but you know, again, that's one on display. Come in and play with it. We have the next slide. This is the IC7100. It's the ICOM's answer to a shack in the box. It is UHF, VHF, and HF as well. It's the if you're familiar, some of you would know the IC706. This is its replacement. We sell a lot of those. We have lots in stock. It's a nice radio. The friend of mine had a 706 in his vehicle that, you know, kind of died on him, and he wasn't real sure about this radio because of the sloped little console, but he put it in his truck and he has nothing but praise for it. He says it's great. He loves it. It's easy to use, and you can see it's a nice big screen and you can see that. So, and if we can go to the next slide, this is Yaesu's FT891. Not expensive is the way HF rigs go. It's designed as a mobile. You can see it's not much bigger than some of the UHF, VHF radios that we have. So it's a pretty basic radio. It works pretty well. Like I said, we sell an awful lot. Next, this is the Yaesu's newest entry, the FT710. This is a totally software-defined radio. It's got some pretty great digital sound processing. Somebody's not muted there. You can pick some signals out of the mud pretty well with that. It comes in 2 versions. This is the field, which is just basic radio. You can see a speaker in the top. And if we go to the next slide, this is a 710 AESS. It has some extra sound processing, and it comes with the outboard speaker. The field version comes with a mobile mounting bracket. You can put that there. I mean, there's slight difference in the radio and mainly the speaker, which enables the extra sound on the radio itself. All right, next one, please. And this is Yaesu's entry-level HF contesting rig. This is a hybrid radio. The front end receiver is primarily is analog, and then it does digital conversion after. This one, there's a guy named Sherwood who's now retired from manufacturing, but he still does receiver testing. This receiver rated number 3 on the sensitive receiver ability. It's really a remarkable rig. The sound processing, you can pick people that are so far lost in static, you can hear them, but they can't hear you when you transmit back. It's on sale right now. There's a $200 check cash, mail-in rebate on it. So you're at $1059, which is an incredible price for this rig. It's the same receiver as the FT101 MP, which is their flagship HF radio. It just happens to have 2 of them. Some people complain about the buttons, but I have one. In fact, almost everybody that works for me owns one because they're so good. It's also, beside the buttons, it's totally touchscreen. You can touch up where the frequency is, and the last bit you get a little display. You can do direct entry on the screen. And then you can lock the control knob so it doesn't go. If you want to get into contesting, or you just want a great HF radio you probably won't have to replace for a long time, this is probably the way to go. We didn't go any further than this because we're talking about entry-level equipment and, basic entry-level equipment, and that's where we are. So I like the hamster. Any further questions? Anything about HF? I mean,
No questions? Oh, all right.
Either they're all asleep, or
Yeah, I know. We'll give them a chance. So anyway.
yeah, no, it's okay.
All right, I got a question for you. This shows my age, but was there ever a successor to the Collins 75A4?
Collins is not making any, they're part of Rockwell, and they're all making broadcast transmitters. They're not making any ham gear at all whatsoever. So
How about National? The old HRO series.
Yeah. You guys are old like I am. I know all that stuff too. I did HF on a KWT6, which is a 500 watt, huge 2 racks full of equipment of Collins gear, and I liked it. And old mechanical tuning. There was no, jump to the next band, you turned to crank forever. But so I know what you're talking about. Unfortunately, there are some American manufacturers, and the stuff is like, almost priced out of the reach of most hams.
All right.
Any more questions or
Questions? No, really.
somebody wants to know remote control over IP? Yes, there are some radios that do that.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna pull that up.
Oh, there's another employee there. Aaron's here, and Jim are watching. Yeah, come on up or call us on the phone. All my guys are really happy to help you out, talk with you, guide you, you know.
Well,
I mean, and we're not in this, you know, yeah, obviously we're here to make money and support ham radio, but we all love what we do. It's a great company to work for. I can't, you know, I've worked for a lot of places in my life, and HRO is probably one of the best I've ever worked at.
well, good. Okay.
Well, thank you, Clyde.
Oh, you're welcome.
No, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sure that folks will have a chance now to think about this and
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I like doing them from my shack on Zoom because, you know, it's only 10 steps from the beer refrigerator. So
let's see. Hang on a second. Let's see. Let's do something here. Speaker. There you go. Well, okay. So there's your shack.
yep. Yeah, I'm in the shack. I'm also, I have been a musician, so behind me is a gong and a few things like that. And yeah, see, I actually do have a Baofeng. This is one I won. We took this into work and put it on a spectrum analyzer, and we were amazed at how dirty the RF transmission was. Yeah, here's a FT5. It's not on, but you know. And I have a VX7, which is like the VX6, but it's discontinued. But I haven't ever sold any piece of ham gear I bought. So I'm probably a pack rat in that sense.
And here's a 70.
Yeah, that's a good radio. Good sounding radio. Works well.
Actually, I have a 70 and I have a 5 too.
Yeah.
I've got one of this was the first one.
Mhm.
And I actually think its sensitivity is a little bit better than the 5
It may be.
because
I had friends that had that and the FT3, and they liked the audio sound that what you heard on the 70 a lot better.
yeah. So
And then the 3 became the 5 because there were enough features asked for that when they incorporated them, it had to be a new radio. But I like the 5 a lot. It's you know, I'm real
anyway,
pleased.
there are a lot of good radios out there, and
Absolutely. And we stand behind everything we sell. If it fails within 10 days, we'll replace it on the spot.
so you could probably go see a lot of these radios in Dayton in May if you can. Let's see, that's Ohio, right?
Yes, it is.
That's Ohio. But if you want to see stuff in California, yeah, Clyde, am I pretty close to right saying that you're one of the few shows in town?
Yep. In the general area. And
It's Northern California.
right in Northern California, we are it. We do have a store in Anaheim. If you're going to Disneyland, you can drop by there too. The thing about being in we used to be in Oakland. Well, we've been all over the Bay Area, but
Alameda, Oakland, Burlingame.
yeah. We were in Burlingame. We were in Sunnyvale, Santa Clara on the border. Then, you know, you just keep getting priced out of the real estate. It's hard to have a brick and mortar retail store in some place where, you know, they think, you know, the 5 times the rent you were paying is a good deal. So
And they have a parking lot too.
yeah, we have a parking lot. We're not going anywhere. The corporation owns our building. It's still 1-day shipping to the Bay Area. So if we have it in stock in Sacramento, you can have it tomorrow if you call on the phone or order on the web. If you want help, please call on the phone. We got, you know, guys standing there with nothing to do if you don't call them.
Is it fair to say that everybody who works here has a license?
Yes, it's a requirement of our corporation that everybody except for the shipping clerk has to be a ham.
So you're going to talk to somebody who at least knows what the business is.
Yeah. Everybody's a ham, and my guys are expert in different areas. We've got Aaron who does a lot with DMR, and he's really helpful with that. And Jim just loves to play with radios and extremely helpful. And you know, we got some other part timers that are, you know, some of them been around a long time as hams. You know, one of my guys starts with WB6, so that tells you something. You know, he's been a ham since he was a teenager. So, you know, like I said, we're all there because we like ham radio. I mean, that's it, basically the bottom line.
So good. Well, once again, I'm going to thank Clyde for joining us tonight. You it's it's good to have somebody, a local resource in Northern California with the freeway, is a local resource. And I can tell you that this week I was up there on Monday and said hi to Clyde, make sure we had everything together. And then on the way home, I was able to stop at Fennon's and get some ice cream, which was probably a mistake, but it was good in Vacaville. So, it's not that far away. So anyway.
No, it's a fairly short drive, and you're more than welcome. And of course, call us, please, if you have any questions or anything like that, or when you buy a radio and if you don't understand how it works, give us a call. We'll help you out. I mean, that's why we're here.
Yep, the club did some buying this year, and we bought I think an 859, a 300, and Steve, what did we get? We did a 710. Steve somewhere. But anyway, good local resource. We're happy to have them in California, and I'm really pleased that Clyde was able to join us tonight and give us a little information. So,
well, thanks for inviting me, Dave. It's been a pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Good. So anyway, thank you very much. There's Steve. Steve, it was a 710, right? We now have I think 7 we got a grant that we spent a lot of, we got for in the Emergency Operations Center for the city. We upgraded the radio system.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That's what we're doing. So
we've worked a lot of cities and counties, putting in ham radio systems, for Aries races, that sort of thing. Yeah.
So we gave ourselves some new capabilities, which was kind of nice. So anyway, okay.